having a pretty good run of weather this week so far, and looks like the whole week's going to be a good run on weather. So looking forward to that. Getting a lot of work done. A lot of pollen in the air, a lot of creeping crud going around from that. Guys coughing and hacking and whatnot. So yeah, it's that time of the year. Allergy season is underway. So hopefully it's not bothering you guys too bad, but it is what it is. In this part of the country, it's really bad. So it's one of the rough things about our industry. Hey, we're out in it. You're out in it, and your eyes and the whole thing. Your head's clogged up and your eyes running and crybaby and going on and you know. But it is what it is, and that hey, we all got a little crud going on. If you're lucky enough not to have it and you don't have to cry baby about it, then hey, don't. That's lucky. That's lucky. But I was crybabying about it a little bit last night. So just like, gosh, man, walked out on the deck last night, and I mean, your stuff's yellow. Your stuff's yellow. So, but anyways, hey, it is what it is. We're going to move along from that. But I just thought I'd just acknowledge that for everybody. Hey, I know it's going on for most of you guys too. And other than Upper Peninsula, of Michigan, I saw where they still had about 4 feet of snow on the ground. And that's quite a bit rocking and rolling. So they've had a lot of snow up that way this year. So congrats to them. Congrats to them. Hopefully it melts away and those guys get the rolling around. But I forgot how many inches they said it was. I mean, I don't know, over 300 plus. I mean, it was creeping in on maybe a banner year for some of them, record years. So hey, so as we sit down here and look at these 40-degree temperatures we got this morning, high 30s when we started today. Uh, no frost though, but hey, it's all right. Hey, I'd rather have this than rain. I mean, it's great weather to get any kind of work we wanted to get done, and that's what we're out doing is all kinds of things. Doing a little bit of mowing, a little bit of spraying, a little bit of landscaping. Um, but yeah, Katie made it back today. Woohoo! So we were glad to get her back. And I haven't answered the telephone so much in the last week. Then it really gave me a reacclimation to how much our phone rings around here. Picking up for Katie while she was out of town enjoying herself away for about a week. So but my goodness, man, just the phone calls and just the good calls, most of them. I mean, 99% of them were really good calls, just a lot of it. And had a guy this morning that I reached out to. It's that season for all of us, right? I mean, it is. It's just that season for all of us. But guy reached out to us through our website, and he said I left a message about some power seating but also want to talk to you about some mulch. So, and I recognized the name, so I called the guy and I said, "Hey, I just wanted to follow up. Got your message," and he says, "Man, it was 3 weeks ago," and I'm like, "Why, man? I apologize for that. I mean, I don't ever remember getting 3 weeks ago. We wouldn't have been crazy. That's number one." And we're really good about answering messages. I mean, I'm not going to say we never miss one, but we miss a very limited number of ones, or very limited ones do not get follow ups. So I told him, and he's a past customer. We haven't done any work for him for about 7 years, 6, 7 years. But there goes a perfectly good example. Uh, Katie sent out some things today. We have a season tickets to our AAA baseball team down here, and she sent an email out about those tickets being available. And if somebody wanted them, reach out to her and give us your preferred dates, and we that's what we have the tickets for, is for our customers to use them. And he said, so that's what jogged my memory to reach out to you guys about getting some mulching done. So There you go, Katie. There's a positive response from that, and he didn't even ask for tickets. He just said that's what jogged his memory. So, we talk about it all the time that the value in contacting your customers, and not always about as a solicitation for more work. So there's a good example of that. So we'll go by and see him and see if we can't rekindle that relationship, because we for several years we sprayed his yard and would mulch it for him. And I think when I looked him up, 2017 I think is the last time that we April 27th 2017 is the last time we mulched his property for him. And we'll see if we can't get that going again. So I mean, there's what gosh, the 20 and 26. And we actually stopped treating his lawn in 2019. So, that's what, 6 years of contacts. He hasn't opted out. So he's getting them, obviously, and decided to call us back. That's why I say, the importance of having a retargeting with your company, man, toward customers that you had in the past. So maybe we can rekindle this relationship for another 7, 8, 9, 10 years or longer or whatever. And point is, it'll work out. Hopefully for us and him. He obviously has got a reason that he's reached out to us after 6 years. So you know, so, but anyways, hey, I'll keep you posted on that. Uh, Daniel's going to be bailing out on us for a couple days. He's going down to New Orleans, going to do the Mardi Gras thing. No, but anyways, he's looking forward to that trip. They're going down. I think tomorrow is when they're headed down. He's going to hop on here with me in a second. But they're going down there. One of Caitlin's friends getting married down in New Orleans. They from New Orleans or just planning a
It's a
wedding?
cousin, and no, I don't think they're from there.
Okay, so that's the destination wedding.
Yep, as far
So
as I know.
there you go, man. Well, it's a little bit easier to get to than Collins.
Yeah,
Daniel had a friend who got married in France this past summer. So, but that was a good trip too. So,
yeah. It's
uh,
funny because we're staying near the French Quarter, so it's kind of like a rerun.
it's kind of, yeah, that is kind of neat. Only you'll feel comfortable speaking English, hopefully.
Yeah.
I mean, who knows when you get there what it'll be like. But oh lordy. But yeah, so Daniel's going to be down there this weekend. So enjoying himself down there in the French Quarter or around that area. Just I've never been down there, so
Yeah, I haven't either. It's somewhere I've never really considered going, so
yeah. So
just having a reason to go, we'll see what it's like.
see what it's like. See if you want to go back, right?
Yeah, I will be
So
interested to be kind of like on the Mississippi River, kind of
yeah,
right there at the end to see what that's kind of like. There's
as it goes into the Gulf of Mexico
yeah, there's
or
some
Gulf of America.
there's some spots to where you can see uh the what's the thing where the boats all go and the harbor or whatever you
Oh
call
yeah,
it.
yeah.
So
Where the cruise ships and all go out of, or will you be near that? Because don't some of those
they
launch around there?
yeah, there are cruise ships that launch near there.
Yeah. So
Not sure though. I didn't think about that. So I'm sure we'll probably see some if we're in that vicinity, but there's some big ones that go out of there too. So
so what kind of drive y'all got down there?
like 10 hours, I think.
That ain't
So
too
we'll
bad.
probably give it about 11 to,
Yeah.
do whatever, all the stops or whatever. But packing all my food up, got my meals planned out, all
How
that
you
kind of good
taking your
stuff.
food with dry ice or
Just regular ice
just in a cooler
cooler.
for 10 hours? It'll be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's in the car, so it's going to be
Yeah. And it's not 100 out yet. So
controlled.
yeah. Well, good deal, man. I hope y'all have fun and hope everything goes well and you have a safe trip
Thank
to
you.
and from and all that. So, yeah. So, hey, today at WLS, I wanted to share something funny with you, Daniel, and I'm sure he's got some input on this. But we had a guy that was supposed to start work today that did not show up. No show, no call. Da 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 da. We hired a guy last Wednesday, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Tuesday or Wednesday.
far as I can remember, it was early last week sometime.
And yeah.
Must have been after, yeah, it was probably Tuesday or Wednesday right after Katie had left. So,
So yeah, we talked to the guy, and he was supposed to come in today, and gung ho, and you know how all that goes. So, anyways, but no show, no call. So we'll see. We'll see. Well, we're not seeing anything unless he's in the hospital from a wreck trying to get to work. He's not coming to work here. So you can't make your first day. You got a real problem. So and this was one of those guys, and I told Daniel, kind of had a feeling in talking to the guy that this. We say it all the time, just go with your gut. But he was a guy that was sounded good, but something didn't sound right. But it sounded right, but it didn't sound right. What kind of feeling do you have with them? Just because I
yeah, I
know
mean,
a lot of people are experiencing similar things right now.
he had the red flags that you sometimes talk about with being able to do anything and, you know,
Just run them
having the
straight line. Yeah.
experience. And sometimes, we had this discussion a couple weeks ago where it's like, do you want somebody with experience or do you want somebody with just being trainable? And it's funny because you want, like, in a perfect world, sure, give me somebody with experience, but in the interview process, a lot of times, for whatever reason, the person that shares that they have the experience, especially in a certain way, it's like it's weird that that would be a red flag, right? Like, that's, you go to any other industry, it seems like, oh well, this person has experience. That's, green. That's a green light or whatever. But here, it's like it's almost the opposite.
It's almost like, oh God, kind of concept.
Yeah.
So, but we'll see. We'll see. We got another gentleman that had sent in a request for an interview last week, so we're going to reach out to him and see what's going on with that. Good morning, Seth, and good morning, Stephen. Stephen said he's been to the start of the Mississippi River in Minnesota.
I remember him doing that. What, a
Yeah,
couple
he
years last year maybe?
he said it's no wider than a lane on a road
Hmm.
where it starts. So
That's crazy.
that's pretty cool. So goes from Minnesota all the way down to the Gulf. So
Yeah.
that
It's a
da
pretty
da
good
da.
trip. Take a little raft float down that one.
Yeah, yeah. That puts a new meaning to the word "want to go on a float." You
Yeah.
know. So
Up the
we'll
river.
we'll see what happens. So, but yes. Let's see. Steven said he was talking to another company yesterday. His feeling was all companies don't have required employees for the workload. Oh, that's pretty much it. I mean, and that's one reason we just went to utilizing a lot of subcontractors.
Yeah.
Take that headache off the plate, man. You know, and just utilize subcontractors that are good at what they're doing and like doing what they do, and just forgot how much fun it was to have a guy want a job and not come to work. you know. So
First one of the year, I really like that. So,
yeah, yeah, yeah. So we'll hope. I wish him the best of luck in whatever he decided to do. But anyways, yeah. Steven said also it's very shallow at the start,
hmm.
so about a calf deep. Wonder if that's a calf on your leg or a calf baby cow. probably probably calf on your leg.
Probably so.
Probably so.
Otherwise,
Uh,
that'd be a very random measurement tool.
yeah,
How
be
much is
like
this
what
pool?
those
It's about a
what,
calf and a half.
it's like those bridges. What's that? A
Smoot.
smoot.
Yeah.
A smoot on measuring. How many smoots is it? But anyways, hey, I appreciate you guys joining us today. And I mean, I'm not wrapping my show up, but I do want to let you know that Friday, Daniel's not going to be here. So, and I've reached out to the team at Turfs Up Radio to get some help on getting my connection set up. So hopefully the management team at Turfs Up Radio can help me figure out my connection. If not, we'll have a replay Friday. So we're going to try to be live, and we'll see, but we'll see what happens because Daniel does. He's got our connection rolling through here on Apple, and I got a
PC.
PC, and my current other option of hooking on for some reason is not connecting with all the appropriate passwords and IDs and
Hmm.
firstborn bloods and you know fingerprints and all that. So we're going to see if we can't download it again and make it work. But we'll see if we can't be ready to roll for Friday for you guys with a little assistance from the brain trust at Turfs Up Radio that can help with that. So I'm just not good on that. But anyway, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. So other than that, it's been a great start to the morning with the Turf Nerds and Eric and Jennifer Jones and Daniel with the Pump Station coming through. And we're going to take a short break. A month from now, the Kentucky Derby will be over. Hard to believe. There'll be a ton of stuff going on prior to it, though. And I know that's our big push date around here for people saying, man, I really need to get that landscape done for the Derby. So we'll see how
What's
all that plays out.
the what's the thing they do? The festival, the Kentucky Derby Festival. But what they do down?
The Thunder,
No,
the
the with the fenders and the chow wagon.
the Chow.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's always a fun thing.
Yeah, yeah, that is fun.
And then they have the marathon, which I'm looking forward to. I want to actually go down there and like
Really.
watch it,
Just watch them take off or finish.
Either one, doesn't matter, or just stand along the route for a while or something.
Yeah.
It's just a cool vibe, cool energy.
That was really fun that time when you ran the marathon. And for those of you that don't know it, Daniel did run the full marathon. What's it, 26.2 or
Yeah, that's it. 26.2.
26.2 miles? And I never will forget Jane and I standing on the side of the road, a couple different places, watching him go by. And I'll tell you what, your mother really was proud to watch you go by and finish that thing. She'd been happy if you didn't finish, just the fact of doing it. But Daniel's drive finished it. But you know, it was pretty crazy, man.
It's
What's
a
it like? 1% of the people in the world have ever done it or
finished it, I think,
finished
something
it.
like that.
Something's crazy, man.
But it's just a cool energy, Even if you don't like to run, even if you just want to like, just if you want to experience what it's like to be a part of it, even just being, I feel like being on the side would be a good representation of that. And people like, the runners really appreciate the people too.
Really
Oh yeah. It's like it's in the park where there's not that many people, much harder than where there are people. Not just because it's a little uphill, but like
little uphill
it
in the
genuinely helps.
city park that goes really uphill. You said a little uphill. They say that's the hardest part
It's hard, but
because you're
psychologically,
over halfway through, so you've been running what
yeah, I don't know
a
exactly
few
what mile
hours
marker
already.
you're on. Maybe close to like 15 to 20ish, like in that spurt,
Yeah,
somewhere in that spurt. Um, but like 100%, especially like me being at the back of the finishers where there
yeah,
are less people towards the end anyway. But yeah, it's just from the runner's perspective, it's great support, but just the whole environment is like fun and upbeat and energetic, and
good
it's
man.
cool. I
I
would
tell you
definitely
what,
tell people, if you have something like that in your community and just it's a nice day, you want to get out and do something like that'd be a cool thing to go do.
just support it.
Yeah.
I know I was really proud of you too, man. I've done some things, but nothing that compares to running 26 plus miles. I'm here to tell you, man. That's a commitment on the feet for sure.
Mm,
It
it's fine
make
though.
it minimizes everything else or a lot of other athletic accomplishments people can make. The psychological side of that, man, it's got to be like running your business.
I'd
I
say
mean,
so. Yeah.
but very psychological.
Yeah.
You know, because that's just not normal for most people to run that kind of distance. So
Well, your business is a marathon, so
yeah,
it's not a sprint. You
it's
gotta
not a sprint.
pace yourself. You gotta get through the hills and all the things. Have supportive people around you. It's just very very similar sports and life, but
Yeah. True that. So, speaking of running your business, I wanted to. Katie had a welcome back this morning from one of our first phone calls, one of the first few phone calls. Uh, Lady called in and wanted to get some information and some pricing on some work. And let's see what we got. What, yeah, we'll get to that in a second. Steven said, just go watch the elite runners. They glide by, and it looks like minimal effort. You know,
True. Yeah.
so
Some pretty
Steven does a lot of running.
Oh yeah.
I think his goal is to run what a mini in
Every state.
every state. So
That'd be cool.
that'd be an outstanding accomplishment too, man. So
Once he gets to Hawaii and Alaska, those will be very interesting ones.
yeah,
Oh
but
gosh.
yeah, true that. So yeah, we got a few runners that listen to us here at Turfs Up. So good deal. Um, Holly ran what, a mini? Did she run a mini?
Yeah.
So yeah, I know I've got Daniel and Holly's picture up there in the office where they were come across the finish line. So uh, all the respect in the world for all you people that run out there like that. But uh, Katie got a welcome back from a lady today. She called up and she said, "Hey, I'd like to get some landscaping done." And Katie proceeded, "Hey, what would you like to get done?" And did the small talk with her a little bit. And um, Katie said, "Ask her, our normal question, what kind of budget do you have?" And she says, "Well, I'm just looking to get some mulching done, and the other company was around $900, and I just really want to check and see if they're in line." And my question to you all is, how do you respond to that? I just want to see if you're in line or they're in line. And of course, I mean, we've got our scripted answer that not literally that we read from anymore, but that we've trained and educated ourselves on. But the reality of it is, after she told Katie that, Katie's like, she said, "Well, I probably shouldn't have told you that." And Katie said, "Well, it really doesn't matter, that you did, because we're going to price the job, the way we need to price the job." And I don't know if the lady thought that was sincere or not. I don't know. But the crazy part about that is, uh, I had pretty much the same thing happen just yesterday with me. I went to see a gentleman about cleaning off a fence row for him. And he was like, "Well, what do you think this is going to cost, Wayne?" I said, "Well, honestly, Mr. Riley, I don't have any ideas yet. I've got my pictures and I've got some notes, and I'll take a look at it, and I'll follow back up with you this afternoon." And he said, "Okay." He said, I'd like to keep it under $1,000 or around $1,000." And as soon as he said that, he's like, "But God, I probably shouldn't have told you that." He said, "Do you think?" He said it might only been 400 or 500. I said, "Mr. Riley, what you just told me is not going to have any bearing on the way I price the job." So I share that with you guys. I feel confident that most of us here on Turfs Up Radio are ethical. And if it's $10,000 to do the job, it's a $10,000 job. If it's $1,000, it's $1,000, or whatever the volume is. I'm not going, I mean, 200,000. It doesn't matter what the value of the job is. We're going to price it accordingly. When I say we're, you going to price it ethically and according to what a fair and ethical price is for the job based on your overhead, your use rate, your desired profit margin, your overhead. I mean, it's that, and that's the way it should be. Just because he told me $1,000, is, pretty much where he maxes out at, doesn't mean I don't even know that I can do this job for $1,000, quite honestly. And, Daniel, that's what I told him. He said, "Well, you just got a ballpark." I said, "I don't want to tell you a number because I want to look at my notes. And one good thing about this particular job that may get him around that kind of cost is we do not have to remove the debris. He's got property lines where we can leave the debris on his property, right from where we're cleaning the fence off. We're just hauling it another 25, 30 feet to the back line of his property. So that will save him. Like I told him, I said, that in itself is going to save you a few $100s, you know. So we may be able to get there, we may not, but I just hate the thought of somebody saying I shouldn't have told you that.
Yeah,
And
I think it's, whether you should or shouldn't tell the contractor you're getting a estimate from is, an interesting idea, because to me, we all, looking at it from the consumer aspect, from if you're looking at like a product, right? We're probably, most of us are going to go get a secondary price, and especially nowadays, it's real easy to do that for most things we buy. We see something we like in a store, assuming it's, you know, not just a super cheap price anyway, and we know that. But it's like, okay, well, let me see what they're running it for right now on Walmart.com or Lowe's.com or BestBuy.com. Or, it's
yeah,
like that we all are mostly doing that for things that we truly don't know the price of. So from that perspective, you can understand like the comparison language first of all, where she was talking about. Well, I was just want to check and see if these people are kind of in line with what someone else is doing. Because if you don't know what things run, then that's I think a smart thing to do at least.
right, right. I agree.
But also like, if especially if you're going to be getting work done that's more than just that's more than like this is just what it is, right? Like mowing, this is just what it is. Fert and weed, this is pretty much just what it is. Mulching, pretty much what it is. You can get different mulches or whatever, but it's pretty much what it is. But especially if you're getting like a landscaping done with different plants, and you talk about all the time where, somebody might come in and they're doing a
Yes,
bid based on smaller plants, but then so theirs look cheaper, but then the end product is different, blah, blah, blah. Especially if it's something like that where there's a lot of variables and you can kind of upscale it or downscale it or whatever. And we just talked about this before the show, but like you really owe it to your contractor to share your budget with them. So
it's a valid question.
so they have the proper amount of information so they don't waste their time, but also so you're not wasting your time as the consumer of being like, "Oh, well, I didn't realize it was going to be $7,500. I only have $2,500 to spend, right?" But that estimate might take 2 or 3 days to get back to you on, right? So if you would have just been upfront with the contractor and said, "My budget's $2,500," then they can go and build you a $2,500 project that still meets your needs
Right.
and not
And
waste
within
either
the
of your
budget.
time.
Yeah. And I think the good analogy you brought up this morning when we were talking about it is, if you're looking for a house and you tell a builder, hey, I got $200,000 for a house, then you're going to have an estimate for that home to
Your
come in around
Yeah, your
200,000, give
house
or
is,
take.
and you said something that kind of is maybe a good way to explain it too to the consumer is like, what your budget isn't going to impact my price, which should be the truth. But what you can also maybe say is that while your budget doesn't impact my the price I'm going to give you, it will impact potentially the work that we are going to be able to do, the level
Yes.
of the work, the whatever you want to kind of call it of the work, which will then reflect properly. The price will then properly reflect the work that we are able to do for your budget.
Right. And that's 100% on. So I think that needs to be part of your vocabulary as a contractor is what's your budget?
Right.
A lot of people are going to be resistant to say, well, I really don't have a budget. Okay, well, you probably do,
Right. And then there's,
at some point.
okay,
And
well, is it 10,000? Is it, and start at a crazy number. Is it $10,000? And crazy is dependent on the job type, but
yeah,
is it $10,000? And you say, well, no, that's crazy. That's way too much. Okay, is it 7,000? And you can work your way down and kind of figure out with the customer in that moment what potentially might be at least a ballpark range.
yeah, because types and size and all that on plants reflect, where that end total is going to be. I mean, you can start with smaller plants for a lower budgeted person that, hey, in 2 or 3 years, this is, these are going to be really nice sized plant or whatnot. But hey, if you got to want to spend more money, we can start with larger plants, and you're going to have that immediate gratification. So it's a legitimate question, and it's really just a training for yourself and role playing, practicing on how to get through it and not stumble through it. Uh, Seth says a budget question is absolutely a legitimate question to ask.
Yeah.
You
And you
know,
could even say something like, "Hey, if this was mowing, or this was, if you're calling in to get your lawn mowed or your lawn sprayed, we're not going to ask what's your budget because it's a standard based on these
right.
certain variables. I'm only asking your budget because what we're talking about, there are so many variables, and we want to make sure that we fit you with what, the best we can give you, but is still within your budget."
And it's still within your budget. Yeah. You know, I think the misconception of if I tell you that you're going to get to my budget, it's really not a misconception. I mean, it
Well,
is
the problem is it does happen, right? And that's
but
why people are afraid of saying it,
of
because
of saying it.
it
Yeah.
has happened and does continue to happen, because some contractors, and whether it's lawn and landscaping or whatever, aren't as ethical maybe as they should be.
Right. And we'll take advantage of a situation just to do it.
Right.
Cuz and that's what we need to make sure that as an individual business owner we're not doing.
Right.
Price the job based on your cost and your overhead and your desired profit, and going through all that again. But and then give the price. You don't have to justify the price. And now, one thing that we don't do, and that doesn't mean that it's wrong or right, but it's right for us at WLS, is we do not give an itemized statement to somebody, or a proposal to somebody. You know, in other words, we're not breaking each individual plant down and each individual labor cost down to plant something, because what I've found, our price is the price. If we tell somebody, and I'm just going to make a number up, let's just say we say it's $5,000 for the landscape, whatever. Okay, 500,000 for you guys that do bigger jobs. Okay, or whatever that number is. That's the price to do the job. It shouldn't matter that half of it's labor or half of it's plants and 10% of it's this, 15% of it's that.
Yeah.
Does that total fit in your budget? It's not. Well, God, that's way too much labor. The other companies only charging me this much labor, but this in plants and this in mulch and this in. I'm not breaking it down for a customer like that.
Yeah. I
If
think really the only reason someone wants it broken down is to have to argue about it, to
mm-hmm.
try to negotiate this rate for that, or I can get him at Home Depot for this, or let me get my cousin out here. What if he's working with you? Can the labor rate go down or whatever?
I say Seth says, plus it's a need to know thing, especially for landscape or lighting design. It costs money for us as contractors to put together a 10K estimate versus a 2K estimate. Absolutely. It's all time, you know, and, but that's one thing getting back to the time aspect of it is, the price is the price. I had a guy tell me one time in a seminar, it was really funny too. And he did the same thing. He just gave a total to do the job. It didn't matter what the job was. This is our total to do the job. And he said, if they say they want a breakdown, he said, I don't break it down. I'm not going to be your platform to judge each and every contractor that you get involved in this. Well, Daniel's doing it for this, Wayne's doing it for this, and Susie's doing it for that. Hey, what can you do with that? No, he said, my price is $5,000 or nothing, meaning you either take it at five or I'm not going to do the work. I'm not going to break it down for you. And I don't know. Some of you guys may break it down and say, well, what are you trying to hide? You're not really trying to hide anything.
Yeah.
it's transparent in what you're charging for the overall job,
And that's all that
and
matters.
that's all that matters.
Yeah,
You
anything
know,
else
I've
is
I've I've bought a lot of trucks and things for and equipment at Wayne's Lawn Service, but I've never said, well, what's the tires on the truck cost? What's the transmission cost? What's the catalytic converter
yeah.
cost? You
You know,
know,
Chevy can do a seatbelt for a lot cheaper than Ford, so I'm gonna, see if we can get on the phone with them and have them install the seatbelt for me.
yeah. Why don't you do the cab and chassis, and we'll get somebody else to do the motor and the wheels. You know, that's what you're opening yourself up to when you get into that. So, and we're only talking about it because it's this time of the year, right? That's when a whole lot of this is going on. A whole lot of consumers are wanting to spend some money with us as commercial contractors, and I get that they're doing their due diligence in their mind on trying to figure out, hey, where am I getting my best bang for my buck? But there's so many things that get involved, you know, uh, in doing all of our proposals, But to your point, Daniel, I think that was right on line. If it's fert and weed or if it's mowing, something like that, hey, it is what it is.
Right.
It's just it is. But there's so many variables that get involved when you talk about hardscaping or landscaping or lighting. There's just think of from a landscape lighting perspective, how many different fixtures you could do. From even within pick a brand. I mean, we like cast lighting.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's different fixtures with them. We can price to somebody based on what they say their budget is
Mhm.
and what the benefits and features of different types of hardware are.
Yeah.
So that's why I think it's important
And
that
then how many, what if someone want to light up? They might think they want their whole house lit up until they see, oh well, the my budget was, $3,000, but it's going to cost 14 to get my house lit up. But here, if you just go ahead and tell me your budget's 3K, we're going to come out and we're going to make this the best looking thing for $3,000 that we can do.
that we can do and have room for expansion. You know, and so that's what we got to think about as business owners and salespeople is not just selling something, but knowing what it is that we're selling and and how to convey. I was going to say portray, but it's convey. How to convey that to the consumer that that's why it's important that we need to know a budget, and that's why it's important for you to understand why we're asking that question. And until you role play and practice that enough, you're going to be very uncomfortable asking somebody that question. I mean, again, we go to look at a lot of different things that we buy, and we know, if you want to go buy a vehicle, not everybody's going to a Bentley dealership. Not
Right.
everybody's going to buy a Volkswagen or anything in between. I mean, I'm picking on either one of those, but
Yeah.
get
Different price ranges.
it's different price ranges.
And I think it can
You
also
know,
help you, if there's someone genuinely interested in a pretty good landscape or hardscape or lighting thing, you might take what you're portraying as this is what their budget is, based on whatever, and undersell them, right? This
yeah,
person might actually want something much nicer than what you said. And because this other company did that and offered that in their estimate, well, I'm going to go with them because this is actually what I wanted. You only gave me this thing that was, let's just call it $2,000 worth of whatever, but it's very minimalistic because you might have thought that based on whatever that this person that's what they wanted. So you might actually be underselling your services if you don't know what their budget is
that's
as
right.
well.
Don't get hung up in anything other than the most important part about this conversation. I guess there's a few important things, and then we'll take a short break. But number one is we got to understand the difference between competitive pricing and profitability. And they are two completely different things. Okay. And then also understanding the need for you as the salesperson to sit down and role play and practice with somebody other than potential customers. Okay, you can do it with your customers, your potential customers, but practice with somebody that is not a potential customer, role play those scenarios out and get better at asking the question, and know how you're going to answer the objection of, well, I don't really want to tell you what I want to spend. It sounds like but I don't want to tell you what I want to spend because I don't want you to oversell me. No, that's not it at all, Miss Smith. It's got nothing to do with wanting to take you above and beyond your budget. It's to let me know how I can help you fit within your budget with the best possible landscape we can do for you. You know. So, and Seth says, never price a job just to say you got the job. And that's exactly my point too, saying you got to understand the difference between competitive pricing and profitability. I could care less what any of my competitors are charging for a yard of mulch or a yard of rock or a yard of sand or, it doesn't matter to me what they're charging. Our overhead's different, our business models are different, our desired profit margins may be different. If that makes me more or less than they are with a bottom line price, then so be it. Yes, we got to be somewhat competitive within our market. I agree 100% with that, right? We do have to be competitive. But what we don't have to do and do too much as an industry is think we're Walmart and say, well, what are they doing the job for? We'll beat about 10%. You're just positioning your company to be less successful and have a lot more problems down the road. So let's take a short break. One thing I'd like to talk about that started a little bit already with us is the customers that are calling up, and this has to do with mowing and fert and weed. Okay. Um, this is where we hear it most of the time. We hear it sometimes on the landscaping and cleanup work, but predominantly it's a mowing and fert and weed thing. But and I don't know. Let me know you guys let me know if it's happened to you where somebody says, "God, y'all got done awful fast." Y'all were only here 11 minutes and my yard's mowed and trimmed, and it's a lot of money for 11 minutes. Does that happen to anybody but us? I mean, just curious. I mean, realistically, does that happen to you all as much as it happens to us? And, part of my sales presentation, when I'm talking to somebody about, mowing and fertilization weed control specifically, that is part of my presentation that, look, I want you to know, Miss Smith, we're not going to be here, for an hour or two mowing your lawn like, when you were doing it or your husband was doing it or, whatever. If they've not had the experience of a commercial service, providing service. And that's why it's important for you to ask, when you're starting somebody new and you're talking to them, hey, have you used a commercial service in the past or have you been doing it? And that's why we ask that question, is because if they say, well, no, I've been doing it and I just don't have time to do it. My kids are doing more involved in athletics now and we're spending more time going to volleyball and soccer and horseback riding and all these things that they like to do. And I want to be able to tell that consumer at that point that, you know, not immediately. I'm not saying, well, hey, by the way, we get this done in, 11 minutes or 12 minutes. And, it's not going to take us, 45 minutes or an hour or 2 hours, whatever it took you. But again, that's another question that you can ask them. Well, how long did it take, when you were doing this, how'd you mow it? Well, man, we used to push more, or we used I've got a 60-inch ZTR back there, Well, cool. Because if they had a bigger riding piece of equipment, then they're going to understand the speed at which it operates. If not, they're not going to understand that. So that those two questions are questions that help us lead our sales pitch, if you will, or our conversation with the customer on, hey, we're going to be able to get this done pretty quickly. You know, if you're not used to that, but that, so we just let them know that going in. Now, does that eliminate 100% of the calls? No. But we still get some that says, God, y'all were only here 11 minutes. Or I had a lady the other day say, you know, y'all were only here 8 minutes to do my yard, you know. And the reality of it is we can be there for a very limited amount of time, but we spend a lot. Is the job done right? That's number one. Okay. Is the job done right? Now, from a mowing standpoint, you can look at it and see if a job's done right. From a fert and weed standpoint, you're going to look at it and, you know, say, hey, hey, let us know if the weeds aren't dying in 5 to 7 days. Let us know. You know, that gives us the opportunity to look at it and see, what's going on. All right, but for the person that wants to be critical of, I paid a lot of money and you were only here this amount of time. Uh, the time has got nothing to do with the quality of the job, you know. So if the quality of the job is right, then the job is right. You know, the fact that it takes us 7 minutes, 11 minutes, or 4 days to complete it shouldn't matter. But
You could
it's up.
respond and you could tell them, well, you tell us how long you want us to be here and we'll charge you accordingly.
Yeah, I mean, we pay a lot of money for equipment that is efficient. You know, it's
I
so
mean,
we can.
and genuinely, like, that's the response, though, like, not in that way, but say, we know based on your yard size, square footage, whatever, that it's going to take this long. And that's why your price is that. We're
Yeah,
we're we're specifically, you know, calibrated, if you will, for the price to match the time.
yeah,
And that's something that you can explain. Not that people will care or understand it, but I mean, it's definitely something that I think is worth sharing with them.
yeah, 100%, 100%. And again, like to Daniel's point and my point, they may not like it as the answer. They thought you were going to. Man, I just really. It took me an hour to do it, and you're here 9 minutes. Well, that's why it's up to you to make part of your selling process for both mowing and fertilization and weed control, especially the fact that, hey, we're gonna we're gonna be able to get it done a lot more efficiently than you. It's gonna be quicker. But the main thing, Miss Smith or Mr. Smith, whoever you're discussing this with, is that the job is done right and it's satisfactory, and you can rest assured that it will be with us. So um, do your due diligence first and letting them know that, hey, it's going to be quicker than what they've been used to doing it, but you've invested thousands of dollars in equipment, whether it's right on sprayers or right on mowers or whatever it is, to get those jobs done, more efficiently. So, but you're going to have them. And if you haven't had those calls, you're going to have those calls. And, but you can eliminate some of that by simply knowing in advance uh, that, hey, I'm going to discuss this with the customer first. And I'll be quite frank and say we have a whole lot less of it now than we used to have. And I don't know if it's because the demographics of our customer base has changed some. I mean, over the course of several years, we've kind of changed our demographics on our ideal client, where it's not somebody generally sitting at home retired on a fixed income. And I say that with all due respect, that's thinking, God bless, that was awful fast, and that may be part of it too. So, but take a few minutes to explain it and let people know that, hey, we're not going to be nearly as it's not going to take us nearly as long to get the job done, but you can tell that the job's done right if your lawn's looking good and your weeds are dying That's how you know that you weren't cheated. You know, I know you don't try. I tell people this. I really do. I say, I know you don't know us and you can't trust us maybe right now, but if you just give us some time, you're going to see that your lawn looks better, your weeds are dying, your yard's mowed right, and that's how we're going to build a long-term relationship with somebody. And you just be completely transparent with them. So, with that being said, we're going to wrap this up. Daniel, thanks for hopping on.
Yes.
Enjoy your trip.
Thank you.
And I guess we'll see you back on air Monday. And in the meantime, remember, profit is not a dirty word.